The moment the black nun walked into the bar, she instantly became the center of attention.
Nice tattoo.
Faced with countless hostile and menacing stares, the nun showed no fear at all. When the bartender jokingly invited her to choose a song, she confidently pressed the button, and a burst of jazz instantly set the entire bar on fire.
Hey, baby!
Want to dance, sister?
Why? You don't have any rhythm.
When a street punk provocatively planted his foot on a stool, the nun suddenly grabbed his ear and scolded him harshly. She then calmly ordered herself a cola. This bold nun, on her very first visit, effortlessly took control of the room and began to enjoy a dazzling urban nightlife that could not be more different from life in a convent. This film, Sister Act, became the biggest box office dark horse of 1992, made on a budget of just $31 million. It went on to earn an astonishing $210 million worldwide, but when I revisited the film 30 years later, I realized it is far more than just a comedy. If you are struggling in life right now, it might help you rediscover who you truly are. Nightclub queen Deloris is preparing to break up with her unfaithful boyfriend, but the moment she pushes open his office door, she witnesses him shooting one of his own men at point-blank range. Dolores's mind goes completely blank, and the harsh breakup words at the tip of her tongue are forced back down.
It's fine. It's fine. Thank you.
The man stares at her for 3 seconds, yet it feels like an entire century has passed. In the end, a smile curls at the corner of his mouth. He believes Dolores's clumsy act, and waves for her to leave. But the moment Deloris steps outside, she hears her boyfriend ordering his men to bring her back.
If she runs, then what?
Take care of it.
Hearing this, Deloris has no interest in love anymore, and runs for her life without hesitation. She rushes through the back kitchen as her boyfriend's men chase after her. But thanks to her deep familiarity with the nightclub's layout, she quickly loses them. She cuts through the warehouse and climbs up a pipe leading to the surface, and after making sure the street is clear, Deloris crawls out in a miserable state and flags down a taxi, narrowly escaping danger. Just as Deloris finally sees her boyfriend's true colors, she also witnesses his ruthless willingness to silence anyone. What she never expected was that from this moment on, her life on the run would begin. At the police station, a lieutenant tells Deloris that her boyfriend Vince is the most notorious crime boss in the city, and every witness who has testified against him has vanished. But as long as Deloris agrees to testify in court, the police can guarantee her safety. This instantly fills Deloris with overwhelming fear. With no other choice, she accepts the police's arrangement, only to be told that for the next 2 months, she must hide out in a convent as a nun. For Deloris, who is used to city life, spending 2 months in strict seclusion at a convent feels no different from a death sentence.
You must be out your... You know what? I'm gonna go back and work this out with Vince. You're a lunatic.
What Deloris does not know is that Vince's bounty has already spread across the black market, offering $100,000 for her life. This rundown convent with an average age of 65 has now become Dolores's only chance at survival.
What am I gonna do here?
Pray.
However, Dolores's exaggerated afro and flashy outfits clash completely with the convent, and her blunt street language only further disgusts the conservative Mother Superior. If it were not for the large donation from the police, enough to ease the convent's financial crisis, the Mother Superior would never have allowed such an outsider to step into holy ground. Looking down on Deloris, the Mother Superior lays out strict rules with eyes full of disdain, and this undisguised prejudice completely ignites Dolores's anger.
But do you understand I'm the victim here? Do you understand I'm the good guy? I mean, I saw a guy get his face blown off.
Dolores originally plans to stay in her room, mind her own business, and survive the 2 months in peace, but she soon realizes she is far too naive. Next, Deloris is forced to experience nun life firsthand, and the very first meal makes her so miserable that she throws up. She openly complains that this is puritanical torment and directly talks back to the Mother Superior, only to be punished with fasting.
I don't want you to... I want you to take my plate.
During afternoon labor, starving and dizzy, even a tomato she once would have looked down on becomes a life-saving meal. She finally avoided the old nun's watchful, thief-catching stares and secretly slipped one into her pocket. At last, night fell and it was time to rest. The Mother Superior personally led her to her room, pushed the door open, and Deloris froze, because the room was so bare that it contained nothing but a single bed. Accustomed to the glitter and glow of nightlife, she simply could not endure the suffocating silence here. When she learned that the convent required lights out at 9, she completely lost control. complaining about everything while bragging about how glamorous her past career had been and how carefree her life once was. But what the Mother Superior said next instantly tore apart all her pretenses.
From what I've heard, your singing career was almost non-existent, and your married lover wants you dead. If you're fooling anyone, it is only yourself. God has brought you here.
Deloris was left speechless, and the fashionable armor she was so proud of was shredded in that very moment. Now Deloris could lose her life at any time, and at this moment, even the nun she once looked down on possessed the peace and dignity she desperately longed for. Her thoughts tangled endlessly, and Deloris barely slept through the night. At 5 a.m. the next day, she was dragged out of bed to attend morning prayers. As a self-proclaimed singing queen, she is shocked to discover that when these nuns sing hymns, everyone sings their own part, with high, middle, and low voices drifting in different directions, like 10 runaway carriages crashing over everyone's ears. The choir is supposed to be the convent's public face, but the nuns' singing is beyond description, and so few people attend morning prayers that if this continues, the convent will eventually shut down. The Mother Superior sees all of this clearly, yet aside from sighing, she has no solution at all. Later that day during work, Deloris once again cannot keep her mouth shut, mocking the nun outfits as utterly inhumane while enthusiastically rebranding nightclubs as modern-day convents. Seeing the nuns completely captivated, she grows more animated with every word, only to once again step squarely on the Mother Superior's nerves.
Sister Mary Clarence, could I have a word with you?
To teach her a lesson, the Mother Superior punishes Deloris by making her scrub floors, clear tables, and wash cars. But while her body is working, her mind is filled with rhythmic beats. Because of her passion, it seems any place can become Deloris's stage for singing. She desperately longs to return to the nightclub where she could live freely and shine brightly. That night, Deloris sneaks into the Mother Superior's office and calls the lieutenant who sent her to the convent. However, the news on the other end of the line sends her plunging into icy despair. There is a mole in the police department. 2 witnesses have been silenced, and only she survived because she was hiding in the convent. After hanging up, Deloris takes a deep breath, and after the fear passes, a reckless rebelliousness rises within her. Since she cannot leave for now, she might as well find some fun for herself. One day, Deloris suddenly discovers that there is a bar hidden directly across from the convent, and the very next moment, she appears in a place she knows all too well. When the patrons mock Deloris for being such a bizarre nun, she uses her own way to show everyone that this place is completely her home turf. Just as Deloris calmly settles everything and prepares to quietly enjoy a cola, she discovers that 2 young nuns from the convent, Robert and Patrick, have followed her there one after the other. Ever since hearing her talk about nightclub life, the 2 have been intensely curious about bars.
Well, I thought that you might be ministering to the winos.
Deloris instantly senses the seriousness of the situation and prepares to take them away immediately, but she quickly realizes the situation has completely spiraled out of control. Under strict rules and discipline, she is far from the only one whose nature has been suppressed. The moment Patrick sees the jukebox, she cannot move at all.
I love this song. Gimme gravy tonight.
She drags Robert onto the dance floor and completely lets herself go, dancing wildly with a stunning stranger, wearing a radiant smile she has never shown before. In the convent, their days are filled only with work and prayer, but in this moment, Patrick rediscovers the purest joy of simply being alive. Seeing how happy Patrick is, Deloris cannot bring herself to interrupt, but when she thinks about the consequences of being discovered by the Mother Superior, she still steels herself and drags the 2 away. Yet just as they sneak back into the convent, all 3 are caught red-handed by the Mother Superior, instantly placing Deloris at the center of the storm. In her fury, the Mother Superior prepares to send Deloris away immediately, which for Deloris is no different from a direct death sentence. Fortunately, Patrick and Robert both step in to cover for her, saying they went voluntarily, and only then does the Mother Superior reluctantly agree to let Deloris stay. But she sets a condition that makes Deloris's scalp tingle.
Singing. You will join the choir.
This is practically a death blow for Deloris, because the choir's singing is beyond saving, and for someone who loves music, this is pure torture. Just as Deloris is about to slip away, Patrick grabs her arm, because Patrick has heard the Mother Superior mention that Deloris once worked as a conductor. The old conductor hears this and immediately burns with jealousy, convinced that Deloris is a replacement sent by the Mother Superior to push her out. But when the other nuns hear it, they look at Deloris like a savior, believing that the hopelessly chaotic choir is finally saved. The old conductor angrily throws the baton to Deloris, determined to see what she is really capable of. Under the old conductor's furious glare, Deloris can only grit her teeth and begin conducting. She first separates the high, middle, and low voices and rearranges their positions by section, and with just this single change, the entire choir's structure instantly becomes clear. She points out that Patrick's voice is too high and tells her to lower it by 8 degrees, then notices that high-note Robert sounds as weak as a mosquito.
Close your eyes. Visualize yourself in a room full of people, lots of silverware, people dropping stuff, talking loud. Your voice has to carry over the din. You have to get up over all of that to be heard in the back of the room, where I'm sitting, listening, straining to hear you, okay?
Even the old conductor is impressed by Dolores's professionalism, and under her guidance, the choir improves at an astonishing speed. Their singing becomes harmonious and beautiful, no longer off-key, and filled with an infectious power never seen before. As the song ends, a rare look of satisfaction appears on the Mother Superior's face, but in the very next second, her smile freezes, rebellion is carved into Dolores's bones, and she boldly transforms the solemn hymn into a lively pop style. The Mother Superior's face turns dark with anger, yet this fresh new sound attracts young people from the streets, who curiously step into this church they have never entered before. In this moment, Deloris not only releases her musical nature, but also helps every nun uncover talents long buried. Watching everything unfold, Deloris feels a deep sense of pride, but when she turns her head, she runs straight into the Mother Superior's grim expression. Sure enough, the next second, a storm of scolding crashes down on her.
This is not a theater or a casino.
We could pack this joint.
Through blasphemy, you have corrupted the entire choir.
Furious, the Mother Superior declares that Dolores's adaptation is a disrespect to God, completely corrupts the choir's spirit, and insists on stripping her of her conductor role. However, her superior, the bishop, rushes in beaming with joy and offers Delores unreserved praise for her innovation. After all, the church has not seen this many young people come to worship in a very long time. With the bishop's support, the Mother Superior can only suppress her anger for the time being, but what no audience realized back then was that the actress Whoopi Goldberg, who plays Deloris, could not actually sing, and all those stunning performer moments were purely her acting. With the bishop's tacit approval, a vibrant wave of community activities begins. The nuns break tradition and take to the streets, cleaning trash, fixing graffiti, dancing with young people, and handing out food to the homeless, becoming a warm and beautiful presence in the neighborhood. Continuous innovation causes donations to surge, quickly attracting media attention. The extensive media coverage puts the convent in the spotlight and sends Deloris onto television, greatly increasing the risk of her whereabouts being exposed. The lieutenant rushes over to warn her, but Dolores's response is unexpected, as she no longer rushes to flee the convent because she has developed a sense of belonging here. Dolores's next performance is about to begin, and this time, the church is completely full. She even weaves story elements into the songs, with light and playful melodies that infect even the usually stern lieutenant, who cannot help moving along to the rhythm.
There's not a man today who could take me away from my God.
Give him some of that deep shoulder action.
When the performance ends, thunderous applause erupts, while only the Mother Superior remains stone-faced, her heart tangled with frustration and worry. The nuns, however, already see Deloris as one of their own and even share their little secret with her, revealing that they secretly hide ice cream behind the Mother Superior's back. Patrick sincerely thanks Deloris, saying that since she arrived, the once stagnant convent life has undergone a dramatic transformation, and for the first time, she feels how vivid and joyful life can be. Even more unexpected, the bishop suddenly makes an announcement to everyone.
The Pope himself has heard of our choir here at St. Catherine's, and when he visits San Francisco next weekend, despite his inordinately busy schedule, he's requested a special concert here on Sunday night.
The Mother Superior insists on using the most traditional program to receive the guest as a sign of respect and calls for a show of hands, but the result leaves her frozen in place. Aside from herself, almost everyone firmly stands with the new style represented by Deloris. Just as Deloris is busier than ever at the convent, trouble strikes at the police department. A hidden mole discovers the donation invoice issued by the lieutenant for the convent, and by the time the lieutenant realizes it, the call has already been made to Dolores's former boyfriend Vince. Deloris is exposed. The lieutenant rushes to the convent and informs Deloris that she must evacuate immediately. because her location has been revealed. The original 2-month protection period is cancelled, and the court hearing is forced to move up. However, the performance for the Pope is scheduled for the very next day, and Dolores's plea fails. So under the lieutenant's urging, she pretends to go to the restroom and slips out the back door. In this brief gap, Vince's men appear like shadows and abduct both her and Robert. Inside the speeding car, Deloris forces herself to stay calm, and at a red light, she suddenly shoves the door open and pushes Robert out when the captors are not paying attention. Back at the convent, after hearing Robert's account, the Mother Superior finally reveals Dolores's true identity to everyone. After a brief silence, the nuns step forward one by one, begging the Mother Superior to take them to help Deloris. But even if she agrees, Dolores's city can only be reached by plane, and the convent simply cannot afford such an expense. Left with no choice, the nuns decide to use their ultimate skill.
Father, do not blame this young pilot for abandoning us in our hour of need. When he stands before you on the day of judgment, do not send him straight to hell.
Please, please do not treat him with the same disregard that he's treated us.
Just because he can't show charity to nuns, try not to leave him without rewards when he asks for them.
We know it is easier to answer the prayers of a man who has answered the prayers of others, but if he should come to you for relief of pain or...
Such as rheumatoid arthritis, loss of hair, neck polyps.
Don't leave him bald and yowling in despair.
Sisters, hold on a second.
At the same time, the nun's identity becomes Dolores's shield. No matter how furiously Vince shouts, Deloris calmly repeats her words.
I forgive you, Vince.
Vince becomes afraid, having done countless wrongs and fearing consequences. He dares not fire at Deloris dressed as a nun. Terrified of eternal punishment, he pushes Deloris toward his men instead, but the two men are just as afraid to lay hands on a servant of God, and under pressure from their boss, they can only force Deloris to remove her nun's clothes. Deloris continues praying, asking God to forgive them, and then seizes a moment of distraction to escape. At this moment, the nuns arrive by plane above the nightclub where Deloris is being held. After landing smoothly, they rush off the plane, march down the street in force, and storm into the Moonlight Lounge. Deloris is being relentlessly pursued, and just as she is about to be discovered in a critical moment, the nuns successfully surround her. Identical nun outfits instantly confuse Vince and his men, creating visual chaos as they cannot tell anyone apart. In the confusion, Vince's group is finally cornered in the card room. To protect everyone, Deloris steps forward once again, just as Vince loses control and points the gun at her. The lieutenant crashes in through the window and subdues Vince in one move, finally saving Deloris. Based on his long list of crimes, Vince will face life imprisonment.
I hold you responsible for all of this. For introducing a lounge act into my convent, for utterly disrupting our lives, and exposing us all to mortal danger. Thank you.
That single thank you speaks all the words the Mother Superior never said aloud. Faced with life and death, she finally realizes that she has long been influenced by Dolores's sincerity, courage, and vitality. The outsider she once saw as trouble protected the nuns she cherished like family through her actions. All rules and barriers shatter in that moment, and the Mother Superior fully accepts Deloris. Everyone rushes back to the convent to present a performance worthy of history for the Pope. As the final note echoes beneath the church dome, the Pope's applause and the crowd's cheers prove everything. This is not just a victory of performance, but a mutual redemption between one soul and many souls. Dolores's growth is an explosive bloom of raw life force. She transforms from a nightclub queen who defined her worth by a fur coat into a beacon who awakens others through music and protects her companions with courage. Her arrival is like a burning stone thrown into an icy lake, shattering the convent's dead silence and stirring ripples deep within every heart. She helps Patrick realize that devotion and joy are never enemies, and helps Robert understand that even a soft voice deserves to be heard by the world. And the Mother Superior, who once saw her as a heretic, completes her transformation from a guardian of rules to a guardian of life with a simple thank you and a tight embrace. Some say Sister Act is also a workplace parable. Deloris is like an outsider executive who breaks the rule of "we have always done things this way" and earns respect through results. True breakthroughs are not about complaining about the environment, but about rewriting the rules with irreplaceable value. 30 years later, this film can still bring us to tears because it touches an eternal pain point. No matter what kind of convent you feel trapped in, never forget that you have the right to be a little crazy, because that is the courage to break free. It is the passion to pursue what you love, and the vitality of becoming who you truly are.